Hello, my name is Dino Spagnoli, and in this talk we'll be talking to you about some work that I've been doing with Siobhan Wills and Shannon Macy from University of New South Wales and Alexandra Young from Curtin University, where we've been looking at chemistry students' experiences due to the turbulent times that we find ourselves in. And so when lockdown happened for majority of the country, in semester one or the first half of 2020, we thought this provided a unique research opportunity. So we wanted to understand what students were experiencing due to the enforced online mode of learning. And so this is we wanted to do. So we decided to look at conducting some interviews with some students to get some really rich data and some real insight into their experiences. And so we developed an interview protocol, and we put that through human ethics application and also the recruitment process through human ethics, which was granted. And then we put a call out to students, and there's two criteria that students needed to meet in order to make to get into this study or to be a participant. And this was one that that they were a first-year chemistry student taking a first-year unit, and also that they would normally attend all or at least most face-to-face lectures and tutorials if there wasn't any lockdown opposed. So these are students that if semester one had started, that they had gone to all of the lectures and tutorials face-to-face, even though the lectures in particular were recorded. So we got two students from UWA, Curtin and UNSW taking part in this study, and we conducted 3 interviews with each of them. So one at the start of when online learning happened, towards the middle or end of semester, and then right after the exams, so they could reflect back. And we got some demographic surveys for them to complete at the conclusion of the final interview. So the interviews were transcribed, and then based on reading the transcriptions and listening to the audio, we conducted some thematic analysis based on the methods of Braun and Clark. And we've developed case studies for each student, which is what I'll discuss in this talk. So we'll look through the experiences of students, and we had these 3 research questions that we wanted to answer. So why did students attend face-to-face lectures before lockdown? We wanted to know about their study approaches that they had at the start of online learning and at the end, and was there any change to that? And did the students perceive they were getting the same learning experience from online compared to face-to-face lectures and tutorials? So on to our participants now. Because I'm talking about interview transcriptions and getting quotes from that and just getting themes, there's going to be a lot of text in this talk, which I apologize for. However, I thought that the pseudonyms that we could use for the participants for this talk could be from a TV show, you know, that everyone would know. And then I could put the pictures of their characters next to the participants. And so because my name is Dino, I chose the Flintstones. And this was handy because we've got 3 females and 3 males participants. So I could name them Fred, Barney, Wilma, Bam Bam, Pebbles and Betty, based on the characters from the Flintstones. And so from our demographic survey, you can see that Pebbles hasn't filled one out yet, so I need to remind her to, but we only just finished her interviews last week. So I need to get her to fill out her little demographic. We see most of the students are 18, 19, so quite young. Wilma is a little bit older, and the place of their study we felt was important because we wanted to know if they had internet problems, you know, so if they're out in some of the suburbs we know doesn't have great internet around in our country. But looking at the internet connectivity of all of the participants, they do all have NBN, which would be a good level of connectivity for their studies. And we were interested in the intended major of study because this could place the importance of this unit to them. So most of them, definitely the Bam needed chemistry because he wanted to study chemistry later on, and medical, radiation, engineering, human biology. Chemistry is a central core subject. Like, you need essential knowledge in chemistry for these subjects. And education, I couldn't probe which level of education. We felt it was in the sciences, but yeah, it was interesting that we got a pre-service teacher as well in this study. So on to Fred's analysis of Fred's interviews. He attended face-to-face lectures and tutorials because he felt that this kept him motivated. Seeing other students there working would keep him motivated, and it was a place for him to learn, was the university. The interactions with lecturers, he mentioned time and time again, was the reason why his learning experience wasn't as good as a face-to-face compared with online, because he felt it assuring when he could talk to lecturers. And he said that not only did they answer the question, but they'd answer the question in such a way to pinpoint where the actual difficulty was by asking a student, asking him back a question. Now, he was very concerned that when he had to write a question in an email, that would take time. He didn't feel he could articulate himself as well as if he was talking to the lecturer. And he was concerned that the lecturer would then have to relay back the answer in an email, which would take time. He tried a structured approach to learning at the start as well. So he was, really tried. He wanted those lectures to be very structured and placed and go to learning them in set timetables, but he didn't keep to it, and he said he got quite frantic towards the end. So that was why the learning experience wasn't as good. And his study approach did change because he would binge watch, he said, lectures and not watch them throughout the week. He did like that there was a lot more free time, but he didn't feel that he used that free time effectively because the place that he was trying to learn wasn't a place he was used to learning. Barney went to face-to-face lectures and tutorials because of the interactions and the body language of the lecturers. So he realized that lecturers emphasized certain things and used, pointed at things and emphasized parts of the lecture when they were talking. So that's why he went. Again, there was the theme of the asking the questions, flexibility and the environment of learning, much the same as the previous students. So that was a concern for him of why he didn't have as good a learning experience. The only bonus, he said, was that the flexibility of learning, saving time and feeling less stressed of having to go to campus as regularly. But he felt that the university was a place that he should learn, and so he'd be more productive there than at home where he had more distractions. Barney was concerned about the social aspect as well. He didn't make as many friends as what he thought he would because he just didn't see as many students on campus, didn't join any clubs, etc. And so that was a concern, and this diminished his learning experience as well. He would learn from students. He felt he would have formed study groups, and that was very difficult for him online as well. His study approach didn't change as much. He had a structured approach. It went a little bit off structure of learning throughout the weeks, and used to do things just on time as well. So if he had an assignment, he would learn for that assignment or a quiz. Wilma had a great experience. She was a very self-directed learner. She had a very structured plan to her study, and she had a much better learning experience than if she was on face-to-face. She only ever went to face-to-face because she thought she had to. She didn't realize that she could watch lectures online, and she loved the fact that she could pause button. Now, she was an older student, and I think that plays into why she had a better learning experience. She'd also had previously learnt online through an online course as well. So she was very used to using her home as a place to learn. So she could structure her learning. She could go through the lectures in stages and pinpoint what she wanted to learn, research that, and then go back to continuing the lecture by unpausing it, etc. So she found that she had a much better learning experience. Bam reason for going was because of the friends he'd made at the start of semester, and also getting value for money. He wanted to use the facilities on campus because he felt that part of the cost of going to uni. The social interactions was a major part of why he thought he didn't have as better learning experience as possible, and also he felt that changed his learning, his study approach as well. He felt he would have formed study groups on campus. He would have sat down and compared answers with others and learnt from them, from the mistakes that he was making and from the mistakes they were learning. They would teach each other. That didn't happen on an online approach. He tried to have a structured approach at the start, like many, but failed to keep to that structure of learning. And again, he would only ever, just whenever he had the time and whenever felt it was important, he went on and learnt. Whereas if he was lectures, he would go to them, and that would force him to keep on top of the information as it came out. Pebbles from UNSW went to lectures because this was a place to learn, which is a theme that came out from a lot of the other students. Initially very worried about going online. She used online resources a lot more, so her study approach did change. As the second interview that we had with her really emphasized that she'd gone a lot more researching around the subject online, which was good. But again, getting that interaction with the staff, she felt hindered her learning, which meant that she overall had a worse experience. She was very impressed with some of the online resources that she found and that was developed, but didn't feel that could come away from the fact that she was learning in an online environment and couldn't ask the questions during the lectures, even if they were recorded live, because she couldn't turn her mic on. For whatever reason, there may be in a noisy room that she was in, etc. Betty, reason for coming to face-to-face classes was the interactions and body language of the lecturers. She was a very self-directed learner. She changed her study approach to making online notes as opposed to pen and paper notes, because then she could take screenshots. She found asking questions was troublesome. The opportunity to asking questions wasn't there. And if she had a question that wasn't based on a workshop, then she couldn't ask the question, she felt. And she needed a structure. So the huge motivation for her to go in as well would be to getting out of bed and having a regulated time for learning. So only one of our 6 participants would not return to face-to-face lectures and tutorials. All of the students said they had more time on their hands due to less travel to campus and more free time. But the students that required a structure of a weekly timetable really struggled in this new online learning environment. So thank you to all the participants, and thank you to Alex, Siobhan and Shannon for working with me on this.